Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word, Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for you morning sports, the working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city, and Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Midday in the Queen City, business is booming. First off, happy fiscal new year. We got a lot going on today. A local golf tournament's future is in jeopardy, and also a big local company making a big acquisition. Let's do lunch.
Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch.
Hello, welcome to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you headlines and news about local companies, give you interviews with business leaders and CEOs, try to squeeze in a bite to eat before you go back to face the afternoon. We've got a busy show ahead of you. Let's get right into it. First, Cincinnati business headlines. We are starting with this because I'm absolutely fascinated by this decision. That is a picture of the Argosy 6. You might remember it as the Argosy Casino riverboat that was docked in Lawrenceburg starting in the late 90s, before Ohio legalized casino gambling. That timing is key. It was one of the few kind of close places that people in the Cincinnati area could go for gambling. In more recent years, it has been docked off the Gulf Coast of Alabama. And now that state's Department of Conservation has announced it is purposely being sunk to be part of an artificial reef system that's going to be near Orange Beach in Alabama. The Argosy stopped being a casino on the water in Lawrenceburg back in 2009. The Inquirer says that Alabama started talking with the owner of the boat back during the pandemic, and so the owner cleaned it out, got all the plastic and everything else out of there, and the state of Alabama paid more than $2 million for it. And now, as of today, it has been sunk to the bottom of the water to expand the artificial reef there in the Gulf. You know how fish tanks have all that decoration with sunken boats and treasure chests and stuff as the decor at the bottom of the tank? This is like that, but real-life ultimate version. Wild. Alabama has the largest artificial reef program in the country, over 1,100 square miles. Another note, weather-wise, it is hot out there. No relief in sight this week, and even though Crone Conservatory is one of my favorite attractions around here, one of my very favorite, being inside a greenhouse may not be the best move when it's this hot out. So Crone closed early yesterday. It's closing early today as well, 3 p.m. So this crazy heat is just kept to the tropical flora and fauna, not a danger to people. Game night scheduled tonight at Crone has been canceled as well. Parks spokesman Rocky Mers says that the temperature inside the greenhouse hit more than 100 degrees yesterday afternoon. The butterfly show is still going on. That still runs through early August. We do have some restaurant headlines on this Wednesday. First up, Ohio-based Wendy's made Time Magazine's list of iconic American companies. Square Hamburgers and Frosties ranked kind of low on the list, for my opinion. Number 63, coming in below Dunkin', but above Hormel. We have talked before about Wendy's stock price turning into a meme thing online just in the last week or so. Traders recently saw that it was being shorted. They felt bad about that, so they started to champion the redhead pigtailed restaurant girl's cause on Reddit and other websites, a move we've seen before with companies like GameStop. And these Reddit investors and others launched a Save Wendy's campaign last week, which saw people buying and then the investors who shorted it having to all of a sudden cover their positions. Will this rally have legs? We don't know. That remains to be seen. Users are calling this occasion going into the holiday weekend Wendependence Day. Just rolls right off the tongue. Other restaurant news. Are you familiar with Bird Call? Well, Bird Call has entered the chat, and in the chicken wars, it may have just changed the game in this region. Bird Call is based out of Colorado, and it's planning a big expansion of its chicken restaurants that'll put some 24 locations in Ohio alone, as part of a major Midwest expansion of roughly 100 new spots in the Midwest over the next 5 years. Want to see the Bird Call menu? Let's take a look at the Bird Call menu. Got a number of things here. So first off, right away, picture one, salted maple chicken and waffles. You got my attention all day on that. That's going to be incredible. The bee's knees with the Mike's Hot Honey Drizzle on there sounds nice. And spicy Szechuan. I'm always going to be all in on all of those things. Some of the other chicken sandwich offerings they have getting a little more standard. Got the Rancher, the Southern, the Deluxe, Nashville Hot, certainly a growing popular sandwich over the years. What else we got coming out of Bird Call chicken sandwich-wise? So they also do boxes. You got the original box, the 3-piece original tender box, 3-piece Nashville Hot Tenders box. I also like the Slider Duo. And then, of course, what would a fast food joint be without its sides? Of course, they do French fries, tater tots. The loaded tots look great. Loaded tots, right? We like loaded tots here on the show. I'm not a big coleslaw guy, but I was intrigued at the shaved Brussels sprout salad. It's got bacon crumbles in there, which I'm looking this over here, dried cranberries, Parmesan cheese, scallops, extra virgin olive oil, lemon juice, custom garlic seasoning. But I tell you what, you shake some Bacos on there, you got yourself a really good side. Anyway, Bird Call coming to town, coming to Ohio at least, with some 24 locations here in the coming years. Now, for today's big bite, if that all wasn't enough, I'm going to do my best to stay out of first words lane, actually talking about sports. But there is some big sports news that has a lot to do with money and companies. And that's what we get into. The Business Courier reported on Tuesday afternoon that both Procter & Gamble and Kroger have announced that they are not renewing their sponsorship of the LPGA's Queen City Championship next year. Steve Watkins broke that story. He's going to be my guest coming up. But before that, I wanted to talk about corporate sponsorships with other major sports and events that happen in this area, since it takes more than just ticket sales and fandom to make a given franchise successful. We're going to start first with the Cincinnati Regional Sports Commission. That is a 501c3 nonprofit that was founded only in 2024 to position this region as a premier sports destination. It's an offshoot of Visit Cincy. It's the commission's job to attract and retain sporting events. That's a pretty tall order when you hear such regular discussion from people who are, let's say, frustrated at the age of the current arena at the banks and the effect that has on things like the NCAA tournament. The guy running the Sports Commission is Ben Huffman. He was named the Cincinnati Region Sports Commission's first executive director just last year. He has experience running sports tourism for the Warren County Convention and Visitors Bureau, and he's apparently working on a mystery project. I was texting with him yesterday, didn't really get a lot of specifics out of him, but today is the start of fiscal year 2027, and the city of Cincinnati's capital budget, in that there's an extra $300 grand going to the Sports Commission specifically for a project they say they can't say yet. We will hopefully find out about that soon. For our next stop on the Money and Sports Tour locally, since we've already mentioned Warren County, we got to talk about the Cincinnati Open.
Welcome to the brand new Cincinnati Open. Bigger, bolder, and better than ever.
To me, it looks futuristic. The site doesn't look the same at all.
I mean, site-wise, probably the best tournament in the world.
Crowd has been just insane and fantastic here.
Oh my God! It's just really special to be back here.
I know all of us players are ready to get the party started.
So the Cincinnati Open, a huge deal around here. And in fact, if you're interested in the way some of that video footage looked, some of our local folks here helped produce some of the footage that went into that. You can see more of that on the Crown's YouTube page. Very cool stuff there. The Cincinnati Open generates $150 million worth of economic impact so far. That is nearly double the economic impact of previous years, because the Open has had a big expansion going from 8 to 14 days. The Cincinnati Open announced just last year it's got multi-year contract renewals with a half a dozen of its cornerstone partners: Credit One Bank, Fifth Third, Great American Insurance, Kroger, P&G, and Western and Southern. Big names here in town. The contract renewals by Kroger and P&G specifically, though, are interesting in light of this news we have now about the LPGA Tour. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Those sponsors all get naming rights to individual days of the Cincinnati Open, along with tailored benefits like the Credit One Bank Concierge Desk, Western and Southern sponsoring the victory balls from given matches, Kroger getting a signature dessert that's sold there, a Fifth Third lounge, and more. Big money and a big expansion for a big tournament that certainly has momentum here locally. We know that there's big money in football. Not exactly breaking news there. Paycor Stadium. The Bengals announced in 2022 that Norwood-based human resources company Paycor acquired exclusive naming rights for the next 16 years to that stadium, a stadium that had been known as Paul Brown since it was built back in the year 2000. Paycor saw a big expansion by becoming a public company, issuing an IPO just the year before. Now, it took a little bit of wrangling, but Inquirer reporter Alexander Coolidge found out just last year that Paycor shelled out over $66 million to get that stadium naming right. One other bit of wrangling. Hamilton County taxpayers technically own the stadium. It's being leased to the Bengals. Once certain costs were reduced because of some construction and other bookkeeping moves there, Paycor ended up paying under $61 million for those naming rights, and that brings it in under the threshold that's in the lease agreement. So therefore, taxpayers are not entitled to any of that stadium naming rights money. Lots of other sponsorships and partnerships with the Bengals. In 2024, the team announced that P&G was an official partner to be the presenting sponsor of things like girls flag football. We are doing really broad strokes here, again, on corporate interests in sports. The Red Stadium has been Great American Ballpark since it was built in the year 2000. That's a 30-year, $75 million contract, keeping the name in place through the year 2033. When it comes to financial analysis of revenue opportunities at Great American Ballpark, Superlative Group found GABP had extremely high market demand with the ability to support more suites than planned when that stadium was first going up. So it recommended that prices on the suites be increased. All suites sold out in a Major League Baseball record 37 days. In 2023, the Reds signed their first jersey patch partnership with Kroger, a multi-year deal worth $5 million a year. Earlier this year, the Reds added to their local sponsors, the big one being Xavier University, a 10-year deal that helps keep things like student internships and more. Braxton Brewing is the official craft brewery of the Reds with its signature ballpark beer and more. Champion Window sponsors the patio. You've got the PNC Power Stacks. Grippos has the Power Alley patio. Those are local companies, to say nothing of sponsorships with Coca-Cola, Anheuser-Busch, and FanDuel. One other big one to get into here, FC Cincinnati has nearly 80 sponsors. The big naming sponsor for the stadium, of course, being Total Quality Logistics, which that deal was signed for 2021 for that 26,000-seat venue. You might remember that was a $250 million privately funded stadium, although public money was used to upgrade infrastructure in the area, and it's going toward future development as well. FC Cincinnati is among the teams asking for a cut of the money that Ohio lawmakers are making available from the unclaimed funds account, although the legality of all that is still in court. Different partnerships were announced last year as FCC had a partnership summit. Take a look at this.
We're on our first ever partnership summit at FC Cincinnati. Today, it's an all-day event where partners get to come in, collaborate, listen to what we have going on this new at FCC, and talk about the future and what's to come. I mean, we had some of the best marketing minds in Cincinnati here today in the room for them to collaborate and see each other, and also say, hey, we're like each other. We both make investments. We're both partners of FC Cincinnati. Like, what can we do together? What collaborations can we exist that never existed before? Starting to create those bonds is something that I'm looking forward to lasting forever, to really start, and I said before, like creating a family.
The Partnership Summit in whole has been awesome. It's great to hear, from panel speakers to Chris, the GM of the team, talking through, operationally how they look at the team and, some of the things they're wanting to do, and Jeff going through future plans and future state.
In break time, I've already gotten to, during breaks, speak to other folks that are here. Hey, we should do this together. Hey, this would be a good connection point. So that's already kind of a great way to kind of spur those relationships that FC Cincinnati is fostering for us.
We're always looking for partners to get involved and collaborate on how we're building out the next generation of fan, how we're making a difference in the work that we do in the community so that we can reach more kids and do so in different ways. And partners are instrumental to that. So as we continue to grow as an organization, I hope that we see what we have seen, where you have that virtuous cycle of building upon each other's work to create something bigger.
You saw all those people that turned out there. That's a lot of people angling to be in the room with an organization that definitely has the community's attention and a lot of its energy. This year's Blink Festival, coming up in October, is going to kick off with an event outside of TQL Stadium. That is a very zoomed-out view of the state of sports financials in Cincinnati and the various corporate interests supporting it all. When we come back, Kroger and P&G announced yesterday that they are ending their sponsorship of the LPGA's Queen City Championship. Reporter Steve Watkins will be here to talk about that. He's also going to have details for us with some breaking news that Kroger is looking to acquire Giant Eagle. Lots to come. You are watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. You can see the effect on some stocks here of local interest, certainly Kroger and others there. Stick around with us. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
This city has always had something to prove. While the rest of the country talked about us, we built our own voice. Blue collar, underdogs, built differently, overlooked, talked about like we were supposed to stay quiet. But that was never who we were, because this city doesn't wait for permission. And neither do we. And now, for the first time, Cincinnati has a network built in its image, because the biggest stories in this city deserve more than highlights. This isn't cable television. This isn't national media. This is ours. This is The Crown.
The Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with The Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day.
My name is James Rapine, and I host First Word every weekday morning, 7 to 11, right here on The Crown. Prior to joining The Crown Network, I covered the Bengals for Sports Illustrated for 6 seasons. I also am the founder of Cincinnati Bengals Talk on YouTube and wrote the book, Enter the Jungle, A History of the Cincinnati Bengals. Couldn't be more excited to join you every weekday morning for First Word right here on The Crown.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. A lot of big news going on. We got word about this yesterday afternoon. After 5 years of going, the LPGA's Kroger Queen City Championship, presented by P&G. Got to make sure I get that name right. They pay for the naming rights for that tournament. It's been going for 5 years, but its future now more in doubt as both Kroger and P&G, presenting sponsors on that golf tournament, announced that they are not going to renew their sponsorship. The guy who wrote that story for the Business Courier when it hit yesterday afternoon was Steve Watkins, and I'm happy to say that Steve Watkins joins us now here on The Crown on the Working Lunch. Steve, thank you for coming on. Appreciate your time. This is a big deal that has a lot of questions in the aftermath.
Absolutely, yeah. The big question will be, will the tournament continue in Cincinnati without the two main sponsors? Of course, Kroger, the title sponsor, and P&G as the presenting sponsor. And they were a big enough sponsor that they had their name in the actual title, as you said. You're talking about the big bankrolling companies of the tournament over the past 5 years. They're stepping away. It doesn't automatically mean the tournament will go away, but it certainly puts it in jeopardy if there is no sponsor and that sponsorship money behind it. Then it is very likely that it will leave.
Yeah, and it just happened at Makatiwa here just in the last few months. I know that tournament has bounced around to a couple different locations in the few years that it's been going. Is that unusual for a golf tournament? Did that maybe have any effect on Kroger and P&G making this announcement?
Yeah, I think it very likely had at least some effect. It may have shown, if nothing else, that the tournament just had not gotten its footing in the sense of having at least sort of a permanent home in Cincinnati. It started out the first 2 years at Kenwood Country Club. It moved up to TPC at Rivers Bend in Warren County for the next 2 years. That was 24 and 25. And then this year, of course, was played at Makatiwa. The tournament organizers love the idea of being at Makatiwa, which is in Bond Hill. It's right near the Norwood Lateral, very central to all of the tri-state area. And they like that idea a lot. However, the problem is, over time, fans are not used to going to a specific venue to go see the tournament. So by all accounts, the attendance has been pretty good, but that may have been an indication that it was still in some ways trying to find its footing.
Yeah, I mean, you were talking about momentum and stuff, and I think, turnout last year hit about 50,000, and we still don't know what the turnout was for this year, but it was looking good even in spite of the rain, right?
Yeah, I had talked to the tournament executive director, Michael Taft, actually on the first day of the tournament, about 2/3 of the way through that day, and he had said things were still on track. And about a month before that, he had told me he was anticipating an increase, certainly pre-sales of tickets or early sales of tickets, I guess I should say, were ahead of last year. So things were on pace. As you mentioned, we don't have final figures this year, but certainly the first couple of days were strong. I think Sunday was very strong. Saturday had a fair amount of rain, and that likely held down attendance a bit on that day. But that happens, from one year to the next. You can't control that, obviously. So, in terms of attendance, the tournament was pretty strong.
Yeah, and of course, any sort of outdoor sporting event, that's kind of baked in. The uncertainty of the weather is always going to be baked into a sporting event. The LPGA knows that. One of the things that really struck me about this announcement was the idea that Kroger and P&G issued a joint statement as opposed to putting out separate press releases. Did that surprise you?
Not really, but you're right to point that out, because it is interesting that, obviously they're two separate companies. One could certainly make the decision without the other and say, hey, we want to pull out. You guys do what you want. But I think it kind of shows how in tandem the two were kind of throughout this process. Probably going back to the beginning 5 years ago, I'm guessing you've got what are the two biggest companies in Cincinnati, two of the Fortune 500 companies, and it would make sense that they would have kind of worked together to say, hey, if you're in, I'll be in, and vice versa. And that's for golf tournaments and sponsorships. in general, that might be a little rare, but it's certainly not rare here because the Cincinnati Open ended up doing basically the same thing a few years ago when the ownership changed, and instead of Western and Southern being the sole title sponsor as they had been for more than 2 decades, the sponsorship the last few years has been 5 Greater Cincinnati companies that have kind of banded together. Now, it doesn't mean one couldn't pull out and the others could still stay, but clearly a lot of these events, big sponsors do kind of work together to see if everybody is on the same page.
One of the things that struck me about Kroger's statement specifically talked about how they're going to be focusing their efforts in other areas that align with long-term priorities. Certainly, we have seen Kroger going through some changes recently with a new CEO, and we're going to talk about this Giant Eagle acquisition here coming up. But new leadership at the top for Kroger. They dialed back the wellness center, at least in terms, or the wellness expo, in terms of the local footprint. We had reporting that came out last year that P&G is going through some pretty significant layoffs that are still going on. How much of that figures into the idea of spending money to be the title sponsor on a LPGA tournament?
Yeah, it wouldn't be surprising if that played into it. And quite frankly, P&G has a new CEO as well. Shailesh Jejurikar took over January 1st. Now, he had been with P&G for a long time. I mean, I don't know that there was as much of a culture change as appears to be happening at Kroger. And so that may have had not quite as much of an effect, but it would not be surprising at all if at Kroger, under the new regime change, Greg Foran came in from the outside. First time Kroger's had a CEO from the outside. He came in February, took over. Some of the analysts I talked to then said, look for a lot of changes in the first couple of years. And this may or may not have been one of them, but it would not be surprising if this was one thing that he may have led the charge for, or at least put people in charge to look at and say, hey, what kind of return on investment are we getting? And if we're not getting enough that we can show, maybe we don't do this anymore. So, and it's always kind of hard to judge what your real return on investment is with some of these things.
Yeah, and then, of course, still the big question is what the LPGA is going to do. Your piece quotes a guy by telling you that they'll have an announcement later on this year.
Yeah, they tend to put out the new calendar. So it'd be the calendar for 2027 that has the locations and the events. They typically put that out very late in the year. I think he said November. And so it'll be a few months yet before we know officially. But in the meantime, what historically would happen in a situation like this is either you get a new title sponsor, or the LPGA could very well look elsewhere and say, we're going to take that date and move it to one of any number of cities that are kind of clamoring for an event like this. So typically, in almost every case, I think this year, every single LPGA tournament had a title sponsor. And in almost every single case, you need one in order to make it financially feasible, at least for the long run. LPGA has stepped in kind of briefly to carry it over for a year, let's say, if they have a pretty good idea that a company is going to come in. But if they don't see a path forward that's very clear, there's probably a good chance they will move it. So kind of the ball is in corporate Cincinnati's court at this point, and we'll see if somebody else can step up.
Yeah, I mean, other 500 companies, other Fortune 500 companies are headquartered here. Probably a few doors that are going to get knocked on here in the coming days. One other story, this is sticking with Kroger, sticking with your reporting in the Cincinnati Business Courier. Kroger announced it is buying Giant Eagle, which is a grocery chain based out of Pittsburgh and has a pretty big footprint in Northeast Ohio.
Yeah, it's a pretty big deal. It's actually the first acquisition of a supermarket company that Kroger has done in more than a decade. It was 2015 when they bought Roundy's, which was based in Milwaukee and had Pick and Save and Mariano's stores. That was a little bit smaller deal. Actually involved more stores, but dollar-wise it was less. But yeah, this is $1.7 billion acquisition, 1.65. And it brings in 197 stores to Kroger. As you said, Pittsburgh and Western Pennsylvania are really the biggest stronghold, and Northeast Ohio is right there with it. It gets Kroger back in Cleveland for the first time in about 30 years. That's when they pulled out of Cleveland. It gets them into Pennsylvania in a big way, which they really haven't had a significant presence ever. And then Giant Eagle has a few other stores in surrounding areas, Indiana, Maryland, and West Virginia. There are not a lot of those stores there, though. So there is not a ton of overlap. That Kroger officials said Columbus is the area where there's the biggest overlap, and they will need to sell some stores there to satisfy regulatory concerns and make sure it's not a monopoly. But otherwise, it's in pretty good shape as far as adding new markets to Kroger rather than overlapping what it has existing.
Yeah, this is the first big move that Kroger has really made in terms of an acquisition since that Albertsons deal fell apart, and a lot of that was based on regulatory concerns. There's been a lot of scuttlebutt about some other things that may have derailed that plan that are still sort of playing out in court. Is there a concern because Kroger isn't in Northeast Ohio anymore? Your article in the Courier talked about that was centered around issues with workers' unions. Is that anticipated of being an issue now with this expansion back into Northeast Ohio?
I don't think so. I mean, Kroger has operated as a union company for years and no doubt will continue to, but they don't think that will be an issue. But you're right about the Albertsons deal. That was such a huge deal. That would have combined Kroger, which is the biggest operator of traditional supermarkets in the country, with Albertsons, based in Boise, Idaho, but it's a mostly national player. It covers about half to 2/3 of the country and is the second biggest operator of traditional supermarkets. So you had a situation where there was a lot of overlap in a lot of big markets, Phoenix, Denver, the West Coast, Seattle, Portland, a lot of areas, Los Angeles, that had huge amounts of overlap. Kroger had planned to sell 579 stores.
That's crazy.
From that deal. I mean, in this case, we're probably talking about a handful, maybe a dozen, probably less than 2 dozen, I would guess, that would have to be sold. I mean, it is such a dramatically different scale that I don't think that there are going to be significant issues with the Federal Trade Commission, although they do have to review this and give their stamp of approval. So the deal is expected to close next year. And that is a result of the process of going through the regulatory procedures. But at this point, Kroger and analysts do not seem to think that will be a big issue.
Yeah, Giant Eagle, it really struck me. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, and I'm familiar with Giant Eagle, but in terms of the scope of how many stores Giant Eagle has, really doesn't compare to how big Albertsons was and what a big deal that attempted merger was. Steve, thanks so much. Really appreciate you coming on the show. Really stellar reporting. You've got your finger on the pulse of business stuff in this city.
Thanks, Jack. I appreciate you having me.
Thanks very much. Steve Watkins with the Cincinnati Business Courier, again, going over Kroger and P&G pulling out of their sponsorship with the LPGA Tour that was here, that is still here as of right now, waiting on the LPGA to make an announcement about the future of the Queen City Championship. And then Kroger is buying Giant Eagle. I don't know if it's going to get any reward points for that, but we'll have to see how that works out with the Fuel Perks program. We are going to take a break. We'll be back with more Working Lunch on The Crown. Stick around.
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for the Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, To the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones. Just your typical 40-year-old Cincinnati girl. Although, no, I'm not married or divorced. I don't have any kids, and I don't live in the neighborhood I grew up in, which is the West Side, by the way. But what I do have is a lot of freaking time, and I've been using it well. So come along with me on this grand adventure, because I've been trying all the new around town that you need to know about. This is Nat Tries That.
My name's Jacob Tissett, and I'm a co-host of First Word from 7 to 11 every morning right here on the Crown Network, where we will break down the biggest stories in Cincinnati sports. I'm a graduate of the University of Alabama, where I spent 4 seasons working for the football team as a student assistant, contributing to the 2020 National Championship and 3 SEC championships. I'm a Cincinnati native, a St. Xavier High School graduate, and will bring a local perspective and passion to covering the Bengals, Reds, and everything in between. I'm excited to have you join us on First Word.
Hey, I'm Marissa Contapelli, one of the co-hosts on First Word and a features producer here on The Crown, where I will be out and about in Cincinnati bringing you the stories that you need to hear in the Queen City. Now, I know I'm from Cleveland, but I love my Cincy sports. I've been in Cincinnati for almost a decade now, spending the last 8 seasons with the Bengals as a team reporter and senior producer. I am so excited to be a part of the team here at The Crown, and I can't wait to bring you the latest from around the city.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are pivoting now into the nonprofit world and the arts world. Bit of an intersection there here in Cincinnati. I'm joined by Abby Esmina, who is the co-president of Women in Film Cincinnati. It's a 501c3 nonprofit that works to expand employment opportunities and networking opportunities. And I'm sure there's a million other blanks that can get filled in there on everything that Women in Film does. Women in Film is celebrating 10 years coming up later on this month. Abby, thank you for coming on the show. Appreciate having you on.
Thanks for having me, Jack. Always
what
a
are some
pleasure.
of the other big things that Women in Film Cincinnati does in terms of just the various programs and networking events you guys do?
Yeah, we do a lot of programming. I think our niche is really networking and building a film community for people where it's a safe space. We help them find opportunities. We help them meet new people in the industry and in the region. And we kind of approach the filmmaking community from a ground up. So we teach PA etiquette. We teach you how to get into your first working set. We teach you how to get onto a set, what to do in your first position as a PA, and work your way up from there. And then we've had all kinds of workshops, and we've really set our sights on this professional development series called Frame by Frame, where we are doing kind of tangible workshops where people leave with actual tangible skill sets. They know how to set up C-stands. They know how to do their production paperwork. They know how to file payroll. They know how to do their Kentucky or Ohio taxes if you're on a production that's doing the tax incentive.
Yeah.
So we really are just here to kind of be a resource for anything a filmmaker in the region would need or anyone interested in film.
Yeah, all the furtherance, all the way to further people that want to be working professionals in the film industry, which anybody who's been paying paying attention at least over the last decade, more so than that really, has seen this region really grow in terms of opportunity and the ability to be a working actor like you are, or working as a PA of various TV shows that are shot nearby. The opportunities are, I think, more than people would expect, given the fact that this is the Midwest and we're not talking about New York or LA.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize how much opportunity actually exists here in the Midwest. And I would say that that is because most people, when they set their sights on film and TV, they're thinking the big budget movies, the big films, the TV shows. And we don't really have a TV show or a series of films. We don't have designated films that are dying to come to Cincinnati. We more so are always selling and pitching ourselves as a place that has so many locations for films to come. But the commercial realm here in Cincinnati is what really thrives. I mean, we've got Procter & Gamble, which puts out the most media marketing in the world, and they cast 90% of their projects here in town. So as an actor wanting to make a career here, the commercial world is where you kind of get your foot in the door and then pad your resume that way, and you can build a career here. You can stay here and work here, and there's lots of opportunity to do so, which not a lot of people, I think, they don't realize that.
Well, and you've got your own sort of various projects in development, things that you're working on. In terms of being a working actor, I believe we have a clip. You were saying, maybe not a lot of big budget, big studio stuff that's going on here, but that being said, you are an actress who had an appearance in a pretty big TV show that aired, just in the last year or so?
Wow, Jen! Everything about you is just working.
Thank you, Heather. You really took that toned up for the big day workout plan seriously.
Yeah, I did. Girl, your ass looks crazy right now. Incredible.
Everybody has an ass. Hi, Jen. Hi, Lulu. Oh my God. Can I talk to you for a second? No, you're gonna be walking with Jonathan. He's gonna be at the ceremony tomorrow.
Oh my God. Jonathan, I love him.
Jonathan is literally the best. Oh, awesome. Okay.
Video games are sports now. They're on ESPN and everything. Yeah. So you're on ironing duty, right?
I am?
Yeah. Go Bride's Fun. Thank you so much. Amazing.
So anyway, that was from the She-Hulk TV show, which was an exclusive Marvel and Disney production, streamed on Disney+. Was it difficult to tilt your head back to look up at the giant green actress that they had in that?
It was, yeah. She's a tall woman. No, we used a stick.
Yeah.
And we did have a very tall actress as well, so she had a body double who was she was tall, very tall woman. And then we had her head on a stick. So that was always really funny to see.
Yeah.
You just see this giant head floating around above everybody, and it was just head on a stick.
Yeah, congratulations to you on that. That's really big, and I know that you're developing a lot of other work, and this is all, again, I like the way that this all sort of interacts with your work with women in film and trying to establish professional resources for women looking to work in the industry. Have you found there has been a lot of support from other professionals that are here that want to be a part of the organization?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the beautiful thing about Cincinnati is we are a community. As a whole, we are such a great community who really shows up and supports and uplifts everybody. We have a great partnership with Independent Film Festival, Allison West and yourself and Johnny Shank, and you all have been such great supporters of women in film for the last decade. I mean, we're on our 10th year now. So Film Cincinnati and Kristen Irwin has been really wonderful as well. We often partner with them throughout the year on various events. She helps us with our educational components. Film Cincinnati tends to have much more money than we are able to get at this current time. So it's nice to have those kinds of symbiotic relationships within the city with these other organizations and people who are doing similar things. I think we all fill a really great niche in what we do, and we're able to work really well together as partnering organizations. So
I really like the idea that you guys offer help with people doing their taxes.
Yeah.
Because if you get a gig, if you're a working actor, whether you're getting a commercial or a different kind of job, having to settle up with Uncle Sam, that's got to be a giant pain.
Oh, it's a nightmare. And it's a nightmare when you're new to it. So I found an accountant who, I wouldn't say my accountant knows much about the entertainment world itself, but he knows taxes, and that's what we need. And it's more so just intimidating from the start. But as you get into it, it's a lot easier. But we know that getting started, that's the hardest part. The biggest obstacle for people is, what do I do now that I'm here? So helping people learn how to do those taxes and helping them fill out the paperwork, which is always a nightmare for production, on the production side. I think those are great things that we are offering and that we are able to do. And Women in Film just has such great people on our board.
Yeah.
We have people of all various backgrounds within the film industry. I mean, we've got Peabody winners, we've got Emmy Award winners, we've got professional editors, directors, DPs, we have actors, we have producers, we've got line producers and accountants. So we pretty much cover the documentary, the narrative world, all of those things. We cover filmmakers in all realms of the industry, and I think that really helps us build the community that we have that allows all these people to come to us who want various things out of the industry. They just want to be a PA, they want to be a director, they want to get into editing. Well, we have someone for that, and if we don't, we can find someone for that, and if not, we'll put on a workshop for that.
Well, yeah, and that's the really crucial element. You know, we talk on this show so often about the way business is based so much in relationships. And, you know, you've worked in the industry for a while, and you've probably worked in other industries growing up. What is it your sense that people that are trying to be working professionals in some sort of film or TV production industry, is that any more of a relationship-based business than anything else? You know, everything is very similar, very adjacent. I've worked in the service industry for most of my life, and I think it's funny when people ask me, anyone that wants to become an actor, they're like, what kind of training should I do? You should get a service industry job, work in hospitality, learn people. You know, learn how to make these relationships, learn how to talk to people of all across the spectrum. The service industry really lends a really great foundation to anything in the film industry, but in life in general. Yeah, understanding people and interacting with people and establishing relationships. And again, all the different professionals that are working with women in film and the various programming that you guys have throughout the year. This is the 10-year anniversary that's coming up on July 12th. I know we've got some visual information on that. So that's going to be coming up. You said that's at Winton Woods? Yes, Winton Woods at the Daly Hill Shelter on Sunday, July 12th from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. We have an amazing chef doing our pig roast, so because it's a luau in luau fashion, we are, my mom is actually helping me make some of the sides. We have some Filipino sides, so if you like Filipino food, we've got lumpia that we will be making, homemade lumpia. My mom's is really great. Right on. She's from Manila, so can't get any more authentic than that. That's where the best lumpia comes from. And we have his name's John, Chef John. He'll be making the pig roast. We're not allowed to have an open flame at Winton Woods, so we will be pre-roasting the pig and then bringing it with us. But we'll have hula lessons. We have live music. We have a ukulele player, and we have a bunch of fun and games. It's very family friendly. Is this a ticketed event, or can people just show up? It is a ticketed event, but you could show up. You could purchase the day of. If you weren't sure, I know summer plans can be hit or miss. Tricky. So if your plans fall through, we've got a great event happening at Winton Woods that day, and we'd love for anyone to come join us, film community or not. Bring your kids, eat some really good food. Yeah, bring your theater kid that's maybe looking to explore a career. Yeah. Women in Film Cincinnati is a great 501c3 here in town. They're celebrating 10 years, lots of programming, lots of resources for folks that want to be working actors in this area, which is a unique and growing thing, and we love that. We got to take a break. We are humming right along. This is a jam-packed show on the Working Lunch. We'll be back with more after this. Stick around. You're watching The Crown.
We welcome you from Cincinnati, Ohio. Nick Hamlin, the fan favorite, to put it away. Touchdown, Cincinnati. Oh, what a catch. Cincinnati can't score. Hamilton scores and the Reds win.
Cincinnati sports fans are the best. Loyal, passionate, second to none. This city lives and breathes sports, and now it finally has a morning show to match. I'm James Rapine, and this is First Word, the only morning sports show in Cincinnati and the place where every day starts. We break down the biggest moments and set the agenda for the city. Marissa Contepelli and Jacob Tissett join me to bring the insight and energy you need to start your day. The conversation starts with First Word. First Word, weekdays 7 to 11, part of the Crown Network.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
I'm Paul Fritchner. I'm a 2019 graduate of Xavier University, and I've been covering college basketball for 10 years here in the Cincinnati area. I'm the host of the Rebound Rundown, a daily college basketball podcast during the season and a weekly show in the off-season covering everything you need to know about your favorite team. And if you're not a fan of a team here in Cincinnati, I have you covered from the national perspective as well. Follow it on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. We are wrapping the show up here on a Wednesday of a holiday week. It's difficult to keep track of days, especially when it's this hot out. Hey, want to let you know about this one last thing, though. We talk a lot on the show about social media and the role that influencers play in business, the fact that social media influencers are their own business and industry in general. And there's an interesting bit that I saw now how Starbucks is investing in employee-driven marketing in a specific collaboration that they're doing with TikTok. Starbucks is the first brand to pilot a custom creator network with TikTok. Here's the thing. You have a lot of younger people, a lot of them Gen Z, who are employees at Starbucks. And the idea of people who are employees at a given place putting up social media videos about secret menu items or products that they like are a really great way to reach customers and potential clients and further the brand. Starbucks is now investing in this, making a partnership with TikTok to specifically have it part of the job where people are going to be posting videos on social media to promote Starbucks, taking things sort of from an organic posting standpoint now to a sponsored one. You may see there's a woman who works for Staples who's been doing this for a while. She goes by Staples Baddie. 600,000 followers of her doing that just on her own. That's just with Staples. And so again, now Starbucks is working with TikTok to make similar posts at the corporate level. We'll see how that works out. Hey, thank you to all my guests who were on the show today. Cincinnati Business Courier reporter Steve Watkins with some really great information about Kroger and P&G pulling out of the LPGA Tour sponsorship, and also Kroger looking to acquire Giant Eagle. And Abby Esmina, who is with Women in Film. She's the co-president of Women in Film. They've been going for 10 years, and they're celebrating a 10-year anniversary coming up July 12th at Winton Woods, a really great nonprofit that supports employment in the arts here locally. That's our show. Get back here tomorrow morning. We've got First Word with James Rapine, 7 a.m. here on The Crown. First Word, the only sports talk show for Cincinnati. It's the one you deserve. Check it out tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. We're wrapping up a holiday week. Happy fiscal new year, everybody. We got to go. Thanks for watching.